All right, guys, so it is Ravens versus Steelers week. We have an absolutely loaded episode for you guys today in this Ravens versus Steelers preview. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's content. The first thing I want to talk about is this Baltimore Ravens offense versus this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. First and foremost, the title of this video, this is the huge factor. This is it right here. If the Baltimore Ravens can limit this, they walk away with a comfortable win versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. But I want you guys to see this, okay? This season, the Baltimore Ravens' 3 losses have come from 3 teams with elite pass rushers. The Raiders with Max Crosby, the Chiefs with Chris Jones, and the Browns with Myles Garrett. 3 losses this year, 7 wins, but the 3 losses come from teams with elite edge rushers, and TJ Watt is an elite edge rusher. Check out what Lamar Jackson had to say on this Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Those guys are flying around, they're getting after it, creating turnovers, explosive plays for the defense. Their front 7 is amazing. Just an all-around great defense from what I see on film.
Lamar, speaking of their front 7, what do you think it's going to be like going against Patrick Queen on the other side?
It'll be different. You know, it's not practice no more with PQ, but it'll be different. It'll be different because it's game action, not just practice now. So it'll be different.
Having done that, right? I mean, days and days and days and years, you and him were opposite. How can that work for you or against you, knowing him and him knowing you?
I can't call it because I feel like you don't really get to know a player just going against him in practice. You know, it'll be different once we out there.
So the Ravens and Steelers, man, they have a lot of history with defensive studs on both sides of the football, going all the way back to Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison. Most recently, the studs on both sides of the football include TJ Watt for the Steelers and Kyle Hamilton, Justin Madubuike for the Baltimore Ravens. This game is huge. Whoever wins this game is first place in the AFC North and is in the driver's seat heading down, the rest of November and December into the playoffs to try to win the AFC North. Let's dive in deeper into the Steelers defense versus the Ravens offense. This Steelers defense, which is second in points per game, is going against the Ravens offense that's first in points per game. The Ravens offense is also first in yards per game, first in rushing yards per game, and third in passing yards per game. The Steelers defense overall, like we said, they're second in points per game, fourth in run D, so they have definitely been able to slow down opposing rushing attacks. They're 8th in yards per game, and their biggest weakness right now is their pass defense, which is 19th in the NFL. We'll talk more about that pass defense here in a second, but the first big matchup I want to highlight is Patrick Queen, the former Baltimore Raven, drafted by the Ravens in the first round, versus the stud, future Hall of Fame running back in Derrick Henry. It's kind of funny with the narratives going on here with Patrick Queen versus King Henry. One thing that we've seen in years past with Patrick Queen, I haven't watched a lot of him with the Steelers this year to see if he's cleaned that up under Mike Tomlin, but Patrick Queen, he's had a tendency to arm tackle and to miss tackles high, bouncing off of, physical players. And if you want to try that versus Derrick Henry, good luck. You're going to get stiff-armed into next week, and you're not going to tackle Derrick Henry high. He's just too big, he's too strong, and too physical. Another aspect here is Patrick Ricard coming downhill. Could we see some Patrick Ricard, Patrick Queen pancake blocks? That could get fun here as well. But here's what Patrick Queen had to say on facing Lamar Jackson, finally getting a chance to tackle him after not being able to tackle him going against him year after year in practice.
He wants to win. He'll do whatever it takes to win, and he knows what it takes. So just from my perspective, just going against him, just being able not to tackle him in practice, finally get a chance to actually tackle him, that should be fun. And he's just a great competitor. He's a great athlete. He can do whatever he wants on the field, as we all know. So for me, it's just going against the best.
Another aspect of this matchup, a big matchup, is the Steelers versus the Ravens tight ends. All right, the Steelers have not been great against tight ends this year, and Isaiah Likely's back after missing last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's practicing this week, and he's probably going to strap up versus these Pittsburgh Steelers on a long rest week after Thursday Night Football. Plus, Mark Andrews, he's been heating up with 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not great against tight ends this year, and could we find some advantageous matchups? Either Patrick Queen or the rookie linebacker trying to cover these tight ends in coverage. There's also the factor here with Deshaun Elliott, former Baltimore Raven. Can he hang with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews in pass coverage? I don't think so. Another exciting matchup is Zay Flowers versus Joey Porter Jr., who's a very talented corner. However, I like that matchup for Zay Flowers. I think it's a huge mismatch opportunity for Zay Flowers to absolutely cook and have another 100-yard type of game. Joey Porter has long speed and he's physical. He's good at playing the football, but he's not a quick and twitchy corner that can, go hip to hip and toe to toe with a shifty receiver like Zay Flowers. If the Ravens find themselves in that matchup, man, I'm going to Zay Flowers every time and expecting a big play. Again, the Steelers' weakness on defense is against the pass. They're bottom half in the league against passing offenses. They're 19th right now. The pass rush bails out the secondary a lot. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig, they've all been huge factors with the pass rush. TJ Watt is a future Hall of Famer. He's an absolute stud. However, his partner on the other side, Alex Highsmith, will not be strapping up in this game. So I think that allows you to get more attention to the right side of the offensive line, because you don't want to see Roger Rosengarten going, as a rookie, going one-on-one with TJ Watt over and over again. The Ravens have to recognize that, especially in big moments. It feels like, TJ Watt can be silent, and kind of held in check throughout a game, but when it's a big third or fourth down, the end of the game, he finds a way to get after it. He puts it in another gear, and he can get a sack. The Ravens need to be cognizant of those moments in big-time situations to not leave the rookie one-on-one with TJ Watt. Have a tight end or a running back help out in those type of situations, and trust your left tackle, and Ronnie Stanley to go up against Preston Smith or Nick Herbig, whoever the other guy is, because Alex Highsmith is going to be out. So again, the Ravens' 3 losses this season is against teams with elite pass rushers, with Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Chris Jones. Can the Ravens learn from that and have a plan to stop an elite rusher in big time moments to walk away with this game, to walk away with a victory in this football game? It was said earlier in the week, Mike Tomlin said, hey, we got other guys to worry about in regards to Deontay Johnson, the former Steeler, that he hasn't been showing up on tape a lot, and, he hasn't thought about him. They got other guys that are more important threats. But, this is the first full week that him and Lamar Jackson have had time to really build chemistry and practice together, because whenever he was first traded to the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar, he was, nursing a knee and back injury and having some rest, and then he had a short week versus the Bengals. This is the first full week. Here's what Lamar Jackson had to say on building that chemistry with former Steeler Deontay Johnson.
Last week, you expected your chemistry with Deontay Johnson to build pretty quickly. A week later, I'm curious how you feel like that's grown, just the chemistry between you two.
I feel like it's good, actually. We was throwing passes out here today, 7-on team. We're looking pretty good, looking pretty solid.
Is there a fine line between, wanting to get him involved, but also not disrupting the rhythm of the rest of the offense, because things seem to be working as they've been for a while?
Yeah, I feel like that's part of it. Just don't want to rush things. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's probably how coach, those guys feeling. But we definitely want to get him involved, because he's a great talent. He's a great addition to our offense, explosive, great receiver from what I've seen. We played against him plenty of times, and I see it on the practice field. Definitely want to get him involved.
All right, guys, so Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and these tight ends, I expect that to be a big part of this game plan. And really, I think it's going to present some problems for the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense is really good, but yet again, they have not played Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens offense that is first in yards per game, points per game, rushing yards per game, and third in passing yards per game. This is a whole different animal that the Steelers have not seen this season. On the other side of the football, the Ravens defense versus the Steelers offense. The Ravens defense has had 2 games that have been really good. Against the Broncos, I think they allowed 10 points, and against the Bills, they shut down Josh Allen, the passing attack, the rushing attack. 2 really good games there. And I think this is a team that we match up well with. First of all, Russell Wilson is not great at targeting the middle of the field, and that's been the biggest weakness for the Ravens defense, is giving up big plays over the middle of the field. And Russell Wilson, that's not really his forte. That's not his strength. And I think if we can shut down Najee Harris, because this is a Steelers offense that really relies on play action, a Steelers offense that really likes to grind out tough yards and, put their offense in good positions on, 3rd and short, 2nd and short. And don't forget Najee Harris, what he did to the Ravens last year, man. He had a nice game and was just grinding out 5-yard carry after 7-yard carry after 5, and it wore down our defense. If the Ravens can shut down Najee Harris early, it's going to lessen the effect of play action. And like we said, that's really not, Russell Wilson's strength to throw over the middle of the field. I think here's the simple truth about the Ravens defense versus the Steelers offense. Double team George Pickens. He's the guy. George Pickens, you can't let him be the guy that hurts you over and over again. He's a stud. He's a number 1 receiver. And the Ravens have given up a lot of yards to number 1 receivers this year. Look at Devontae Adams. Look at Jamar Chase. You can look at Cortland Sutton, the couple of big plays that he had on us. You can look at what CeeDee Lamb did, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin. The Ravens have had issues slowing down number 1 receivers. So if it's Nate Wiggins on Pickens, if it's Marlon Humphrey on Pickens, if it's Brandon Stevens on Pickens, I don't think it matters. I think you need to have help over top and consistently, kind of shade him or double team him. And then if, Mike Williams or Calvin Austin or someone else beats you one-on-one, you live with that. But I don't think you can let George Pickens be the guy that, beats you time after time. Another big key factor in this game is whether or not Kyle Hamilton plays. He is questionable. The go balls, the fade routes, with Pickens' incredible catch radius and Russell Wilson's unique ability to kind of drop it in the bucket and put it in a good spot up high. It's a really, effective duo, really effective combination with those two skill sets. So I don't think you can allow that to happen. You need to have a safety over top. So I don't know about you guys, but it feels like this Patrick Queen on the Steelers side and Arthur Millette on the Ravens side. You also got Deshaun Elliott, former Raven, Jeremiah Moon, former Raven, Deontay Johnson, former Steeler, Chris Wormley, former Steeler, like all these flip-flopping back and forth guys, as well as, just a history of the AFC North. And the stakes of this game, it really feels like the Ravens-Steelers rivalry is kind of getting revived a little bit. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below and your score predictions. And as always, hit the like button if you enjoyed today's content, man. So I can't wait for Ravens Steelers on Sunday. And then right afterwards, we got Chiefs and Bills. And then in the Sunday night slate, we got Chargers versus Bengals with playoff implications on all 3 of these games. So it's going to be a great Sunday for football, man. I love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.